that you could use within the school system or a classroom. My first tool that I have to talk about today is called Plickers. Plickers is a online tool that you can use as a class survey to give formal assessments. So it's not only surveys, but it can be like little quizzes or like just questions to ask. And what you do is you create a class, you add a class to like your account, and then you can add students, and each student gets a little card. And you give each student the card, and what the card does, it has like a QR code on it, and the app on your cellular device or just any like technology device that can get apps on it, you can use the app to scan the cards once the students hold them up, and it'll read each one of the cards and it'll tell you what the students' answers were. This is a good way to assess your students and check if they understand or teaching them. One critical use that I thought would be really good to have is elementary school students. You know, a lot of high schoolers and middle schoolers, they have cell phones, but not a lot of 8-year-olds or 7-year-olds have like cell phones, or they're not bringing iPods or iPads to school. So if you were to give each student a card and then you use your phone or your iPad or whatever, you could give the students the cards and they can write their answers, and then you could scan their card and you could assess them quick and easy without having to like log onto computers and get out pencil and paper and just like the traditional way.
Yeah, I think that really neat because it keeps the students' answers confidential, so no others or people in the room know what their answer is. But it's still like and it's interactive in a way because it engages the students in a more fun way, other than pen and paper like usual.
Yeah, and actually in my field placement, they have like a class set of computers, but usually they don't have all the computers working, or like another classroom doesn't have the class set of computers, so they'll come in and borrow computers, so we don't have all of them. So even if like an elementary school classroom had like a class set of iPads or a class set of laptops or computers, they wouldn't necessarily, they would still have that wait time for logging into the computer. And I know in my like 3rd grade classroom that I'm in right now, they take forever to type, and then, you know, they forget their password or their username, and then sometimes the computers don't even like load all the way, so they don't even get a chance to log onto the computer, and it just wastes like a good 20 minutes of time just logging on.
Yeah. And in my field placement, I've never really observed them in the computer lab, but my teacher assesses a lot on pen and paper. I know a lot of my students have a hard time like writing quickly, or they don't have enough time to finish their assessment. So I feel like this would be like a good way to incorporate assessment into the classroom, but not taking it as long, or students feeling as pressure to get it done, or if they don't get it done, feeling down about themselves.
Gotcha. Yeah.
I'm going to talk about this tool called Video Ant. It's a video annotation tool. So what you do is put in a URL video into the search bar, and it brings up that video, whether it's a YouTube video or on another website, and it will pull up that video, and you can write annotations on the side. So if you want to point out something that students really need to know out of the video, then you can write that on the side as a reminder. And the video will show that annotation on the side. So you can like give more examples about a certain definition, or more background knowledge about something in the history video. And a critical use I said was my team was that I really liked in the classroom. So I think it would be helpful if students content and I would put on the side, like, asking questions just to keep a reminder in my head of what questions I need to ask, like before, during, and after questions for the video. I feel like that would help me remember, and then I can also roll it off with more questions and more content to further their about that content in the video.
That's very interesting. Actually, in my field placement, like one day my teacher did like a whole lesson on, you know, what to write on a sticky note for like the students to have. So like it was kind of like annotating. But also I noticed like when her or like a teacher aide will read to the class, they'll be flipping through their books and they have all these sticky notes throughout the books, and sometimes the sticky notes fall and like it just like gets jumbled. So like if you have it all organized using the tool you had just discussed, that would be like so much more organized, and you wouldn't have to deal with the distractions of sticky notes or like sticky notes falling and all that wait time of like grabbing the sticky note, reading off of it, and
yeah. And in my field, my teacher uses a lot of it, and she always like hard time. She doesn't really ask a lot of questions, so I feel like having her ask these questions on the side before teaching the lesson, she will come up with them more like during when the video is playing. And I also she also assesses a lot on videos that she shows. She could put important information that the kids need to really or remember about the video for further assessment down the road.
yeah, I really like that it is like it helps you with videos also, because like now we're not just dealing with just books and paper and pencils in school. We have all this technology, and we have smart boards and interactive boards and like projectors that can display the videos. So you're using video and tape and a lot more of the like YouTube type series, I guess you would say, like in the classroom, and that way you know what you're going to say, and it's a very important part to be prepared when you're doing your lessons.
Yeah.
I have another tool that I researched, and it's called ThinkPort, and it's a website, and it has information for just Maryland teachers, so it's just particularly the state of Maryland, and it like provides lesson plans and activities for early childhood, and it also provides lessons and activities for K through 12. So it's got a huge range, but it also has like online professional development for teachers, which I thought was awesome, because you always want to keep up to date on what's new and keep your teaching methods like accurate and efficient. And they also have like a family section where they can have parents access the site, and parents can get more involved outside of school with their students, with their kids, and they can relate to what the kids are learning in school and how they could help get more involved in the classroom and all those things. I thought this was like a great tool because since it is strictly for Maryland, it can be used to meet the standards that the Maryland school systems want teachers to abide by. So if teachers are stuck with like, oh, how am I going to assess this standard, or what am I going to do to teach this, like this is kind of new, like I've never done something like this before, they could go to that website and they could see like, oh, this is a really good activity, this would really help, like I really like this. Or if they're not completely sure with the activity, they could tweak it themselves and make it their own modified version. So I thought that was really cool.
Yeah, that is really. I agree. The standards, are for teachers forever. New teachers kind of more familiar with it, but they still don't have a lot of lessons to back up those standards. So I think that's really cool to use for lesson plans and activities to use in the classroom. Instead of tweaking it, you can always put a little twist on it and assess.
And I know, like recently we've had to make all our lesson plans and all these things in the classroom, and it's just like, it's definitely something that I think about, like, oh, am I going to have to come up with every single activity on my own, or like what am I going to do if I like just am completely drawing a blank and I can't find or think of something that's going to help the activity, help the students learn the best way possible. So when I become a teacher, I could use this website because I plan on teaching in Maryland, hopefully, and I could use it to, you know, find activities or lessons plans. And if I like miss different professional developments, or I find something on that professional development website on the Think About, I could bring it back to my school and be like, oh, hey, like I saw this cool thing online, and like this is a new way to teach this math standard or this reading standard, or like you can combine social studies and science all in one. And so it'd be really cool to use.
Yeah, I agree. A great tool. I'll probably agree. The tool that I did was Kahoot. And this is a web that you can use on any device. So you always make a quiz, a discussion, make a survey. So the quiz would be like a multiple choice quiz, and it will give you a pin number. And you give that to your students. So if there's iPads in the classroom, they can use that, or the iPod. Because I know some schools are having like they can bring their own device to school. Or like of course, and then laptops in the classroom, you can use that. And then so the quiz will pop up on your screen, that everyone can see, and they'll plug in the number, and they can the multiple choice questions, or with the discussion, they can have a discussion in the classroom about content, opinion about content or thing, and then the survey in the classroom about whatever you call it. And I thought it really neat because it assesses the formative that is brought in stuff like tendencies that are all these other things. And the critical use of is I would use this in the classroom because it keeps the kids engaged, and they're excited that they get to use the iPad, excited that they get to use the computers or whatever. So I think that's really interesting.
Yeah, it's actually very similar to the first tool that I talked about, the Plicker, which is like instead of having like the technology, the Plicker doesn't, it just uses the cards. But the Kahoot, that'd be like a great way to formally assess your students and, you know, make sure they're understanding, especially if you like your school's, you know, up to date and has the class set of iPads or computers, or if your students are fortunate enough to all have cell phones and then they can use it then. I like that the game pin is like nice and simple, because then they don't have to like, oh, create an account and like log in. Oh, did I forget my password? Like all those things. So you can just enter the game pin. It's new every time, and that just it eliminates the wait time that you have with login.
Right, and also, so you can give it to anyone. So you have a kid on the street in California, you give it to them, and they can participate in the quiz when your class is taking the quiz. So if you have home, that would be a way for them to double their work.
That would be like a really good thing. Like, I know like at the Ryle lecture how, you know, she missed so much school because she was sick, and, you know, so if she had used Kahoot or something and like she was keeping up to date on her work, let alone she was like put at a disadvantage because her brain tumor like allowed her to, you know, lose some of her, you know, school skills. If she had a different illness that like allowed her to still do her work at home, but she just wasn't able to come to school, she would have been able to like still work at home, but then use the Kahoot and participate with her classmates. And like, if the names would show up on that app, I'm not sure if it does that or not. Does it do that?
They can whatever name they would like to. So I mean, if they would do that, but if you want it just to themselves, let the teacher know. Only teacher score.
Okay, so yeah, so then they could let her classmates could know like, oh, she's in like the Kahoot with us, like even if the teacher like told them or whatnot. So like that's a way to have inclusion with students with disabilities.
Right, and like I said, with when you were talking about the Plicker school, my teacher always assesses like by pen and paper. And I feel like this would just be a way for students to get and whatever. But they only have six in the classroom, so of course it's like small group, not like whole class, but that would still work if you're assessing on a book that they read or something you talk about in class and you welcome back or they assessed on that.
So I have one last tool that I'm going to share with you, and it's called Rubistar, and it's actually an online tool that creates rubrics, and they have like all these different templates for particular subjects. So like you could choose a math rubric or a reading rubric or a social studies rubric, science, music, any of those. And you can customize it yourself, and then you can add the information into the template, and that will match the assignment that you are basing the rubric off of. And I thought this was a great idea because teachers can use Rubistar to make rubrics without like really having to, you know, sit down and make the table and draw this out and like, oh, how many like, you know, content areas do I need and this and that. If they have the already made template for them, it, you know, decreases time, and you know, you can plan your lesson more efficiently that way and effectively because you'll have more time to plan for other things rather than all the time you're using to make a rubric. So it gives you just that set of guidelines for that assignment, and it'll make it easier for both the teacher and the student to, like the teacher to grade and the student to use the rubric to like follow along and make sure they're doing the assignment correctly.
Right. I know a lot of times making a rubric can be, you know, a hassle. Teachers. So using that will be a way for them to make a rubric and that will help the kids. They're on their work rubric now, so they could have a set of guidelines on how they're writing or how this assignment needs to be, so they know for when they're assessed the big test.
Yeah, and I know in my language arts class we actually just had like a whole lesson about like how important rubrics are to have for students, especially when writing. So and my teacher, Dr. Andes, had told us like, oh, there's lots of rubric generators online that you could look up, or if you want to make your own, like go ahead. And I actually didn't take the time to like research any generators or anything. I just was like, okay, like I guess I'll make my own rubric, like no big deal. But then like after I saw this tool, I realized like what she meant and how like nice it is to just have that concrete template and know that you're, you know, able to provide those guidelines step by step. And she had even told us how like it's good for students to use rubrics when working on an assignment. So that's great for like making sure each student has what they need to get the best grade possible and make sure they're learning everything that they need to learn. And then it also helps for when the teacher can go back and look at the student's work that's completed and then use the rubric to decide what grade the student gets.
Yeah, and a lot of students like having a rubric because they don't know what to expect from their teacher, what kind of work to expect, how to do it. So having a rubric, the students know how to do them correctly, and then that will help the teacher because they'll all be the same way instead of having reading between different students.
Yeah, so rubrics are very helpful.
Yeah.
Well, it was great talking with you. I'm glad we got to share our tools.
You too. Very yours.
I'll see you next time.
Okay.